Hi, hello everybody. This is Dr.G.P.Sudhakar, Professor of Management from India. Right. So, in this specific video, we will discuss what are the different types of conceptual models useful for doing management research. Right. Different types of conceptual models. Different types of conceptual models. Right. See, first of all, we should know why we develop conceptual model. Why we develop conceptual model? Conceptual model is nothing but a pictorial representation of our research problem. Conceptual model is nothing but pictorial representation of our research problem. Using conceptual model, we can define hypothesis. Further, we can dig into questionnaire. Dig into questionnaire. Right. Conceptual model. Each variable in the conceptual model comes from different literature what we have searched. For doing research, if we have searched 50 papers or 60 research papers we have collected, right? So, 5-6 key papers will become your source to construct different variables in the conceptual model. To construct different variables in the conceptual model. The literature, whatever we gathered, becomes input to different variable names and also items in it. Using that, we will construct a conceptual model, right? And also the literature gap is useful for us in defining the conceptual model further into hypothesis. Further into hypothesis, right? So basically, in another videos I have explained you how to develop a conceptual model. Basically, first you have to gather, come with collected literature, then go through key papers, then note down what are the different variables v1, v2, v3. This may be from reference 1, this may be from reference 2, this may be from reference 3, three different articles, and one more variable v4. This may be from reference 5 or reference 4. Okay, so these are the relationships you are defining using the literature you have gathered and the literature gap. You are defining the relationships between the variables. This is nothing but the conceptual model. This is nothing but the conceptual model. These variables you have got it from the different research papers you have collected, and some of the items you include here also come from the articles you have collected, research papers you have collected, right? So this is one of the conceptual model. This is an example of a structural model. Now come to the what are the different types of conceptual models. What are the different types of conceptual models? See, first step is nothing but the structural model. Structural model. Structural models are the first category of conceptual models. Right. This is like this they appear. Right. I will give you one example. So I will take you through some examples also during this specific video. Right. So first type of conceptual models are structural models. Second type is process model. Process models. Second type of conceptual models are process models. Right. And third type is nothing but the mathematical models. Mathematical models. See, to be frank with you, I have never used mathematical models in my research papers. Right. But I used these two extensively. The structural models I use it very extensively. Right. And across not only me, my observation of going through so many research papers, I could observe structural models are frequently used research models in the management research. Structural models are the frequently used research models in across different research papers in the management research. See, if structural model there are 80% are of the structural models in overall, and 20% will be the process models. 20% will be the process models. If you know, if you overall, if you take the research literature, right, different literature, different papers, right. So that's how that is the reason structural models play important role in doing management research. Then this can be further defined into hypothesis. This can be further defined into questionnaire. Right. So hypothesis, how do you one H1 hypothesis finds relationship between V1 variable V1 and V4. Similarly, H2 finds relationship between V2 and V4. Similarly, H3 hypothesis V3 to V4. These are nothing but the hypothesis from conceptual model. Right. So structural model, right? Come back to structural model. What are the structural models? Structural model presents variables, constructs, huh? Constructs, right? Are components. Structural model represents or it contains variables or constructs or components, right? Structural model, right? So an example, it consists of the variables, constructs, also called constructs, right, and also sometimes individual items also, right. And structural model, this is there, right, before this is called dependent variable, this is called dependent variable, these are the independent variables, these are the independent variables. Structural model consists of dependent variable and independent variables, right. And also there can be intermediate variables as well. In the literature there can be intermediate variable affecting the relationship, there can be intermediate variable affecting the relationship. So structural models represent independent variables, dependent variables, and intermediate variables as well, right? So an example structural model, I will tell you. Example structural model. What is the example structural model? Example effect of project we will take one project management research model, right? Effect of example effect effect of project management methodologies, project management methodologies on project success, on project success. For example, this is your research topic. You want to find out what is the effect of project management methodologies on project success. Now, it is very relevant research problem, right? A research problem, right? See, when we talk about project management methodologies, you want to draw a structural model for this research. You want to draw structural model for this research problem, right? So, what is the first you have identified project management methodologies. When we talk about project management methodologies, what all will come? Project management standards. Project management standards. Hmm? Project management standards is one. Next, project management. This is how you draw the conceptual model. Project management tools. Huh? This is one more variable. What is the third variable? Third variable is project management techniques. Project management. Project management techniques. For example, these are the three variables you have identified, and these can impact what? Project success. Project success. Project. So these variables are part of what? Project management methodologies. These variables, three variables are part of project management methodologies. Project management methodologies. Come here. Project management methodologies. Methodologies. Right? It consists of the variables, project management standards, project management tools, project management techniques. Right? What is that your objective? Your objective is to find out the effect of these three variables on project success. Right? But what is the example? What is the effect of project management standards on project success? What is the impact of project management, effect of project management tools on project success? What is the effect of project management techniques on project success? These can become your hypothesis, right? For example, this is the conceptual model. This is nothing but a structural model. This is nothing but a structural model consisting of the variables. Consisting of the variables. Further, if you want to dig it in depth, what do you do? For example, project management standard. What all will come? PM book, Prince, projects in controlled environment, right? Prince from OGC. UK. Prince Standard, PM book from PMI, and next will come Australian Project Management Standard, Project Management Standard, like this. They will become items in this variable. Similarly, project management tools, MS Project, Primavera, Clarity, CA software. Different project management tools will come. These will become the items in this variable. Similarly, project management techniques. When you talk about techniques, what all will come? Responsibilities assignment matrix, decision tree. This is one technique, right? For project management. Brainstorming. Brainstorming technique. Delphi technique. Delphi technique. Resource breakdown structure. We have different things, right? Project management techniques. Different things we have to resource breakdown structure, and similarly, histograms, bar charts, different techniques are there, right? A decision tree is there, work breakdown structure, different things are there, right? They all come under items as under project management techniques variable. So this is how, for example, you want to define hypothesis for this structural model. You want to define hypothesis for this structural model. How do you define the hypothesis? Project management standards, affects project success, project success. Similarly, H2, what is that? Project management tools affects project success. Now, positive hypothesis you are defining. Similarly, H3 hypothesis, project management techniques affects project success. This is how major hypothesis. Further, you can dig down into sub hypothesis. How do you define, for example, project success? How do you measure? Based on time performance, based on cost performance, based on customer satisfaction. Different ways you will measure project success, right? Based on quality also, time, cost, quality, right? For example, you want to define sub hypothesis. Huh? How do you define sub hypothesis? For example, this is one. What is this two technique? Responsibilities assignment matrix. You can define sub hypothesis like responsibilities assignment matrix affects the project time performance. This can be one sub hypothesis. Responsibilities assignment matrix affects the project time performance. That is very much correct, right? Similarly, decision tree technique. Decision tree affects project cost performance. decisions trees we use for project selection approaches and project costing technique, right? So decision tree technique affects the project cost performance. Like this sub hypothesis from this conceptual structural model, from this structural model, right? So these are the major hypotheses you have got from the structural model, and these are the sub hypotheses. That is the benefit of structural model. This is how you should do management research. For example, you want to develop questionnaire. You want to develop questionnaire. What do? You put the questionnaire in questionnaire. Questionnaire you want to make from this conceptual model questionnaire. So, for example, project management standards 1 to 3 items are there. You have questions based on first 3 items from the variable project management standards. Next 3 items from the variable project management tools. Next 5 items, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Next 5 items right from the project management techniques. Next another four items 12, 13, 14, 15 from the project success. We are measuring project success also. Total 15 item questionnaire can be constructed from this structural conceptual model. This is a conceptual model, structural model. From the structural model, 15 item questionnaire can be, developed questionnaire. How is that? See this 3 item, 6, 6 plus 5, 11, 11 plus 4, 15. These 15 items can become items in the questionnaire. 3 items are there in project management standard. Here we took 3 items, here we took 5 items, here we took 4 items. So total 15 items questionnaire can be developed, and these are the major hypotheses and sub hypothesis defining also I have explained you. Right. This is how you can develop a structural model useful for your management. This is the same procedure you can follow for doing PhD also. PhD, if you want to do research in management, any stream of management, you can develop conceptual model, further dig into hypothesis and questionnaire development. So like this, you can use for doing PhD research also. For research writing paper also. These things should be from the literature, whatever you gathered, these items and this variable name, huh? Variable name and item should be from the literature paper, probably from paper 1 or paper 2, paper 3. So like that, you should have a documentary evidence from which literature you have gathered this specific item. You should have a documentary evidence. Like that, you can construct in fact, you can specify, for example, if you are drawing a detailed conceptual model diagram, you can specify project management standards. So, reference from some person ABC 1970. In the model itself, conceptual model, you are very clear from which reference paper you have taken this variable. Right. Similarly, here you specify reference XYZ 2010. You are clear that this variable has been taken from the reference either XYZ and 2010 paper. Similarly, you specify here reference, PQR year 2015. So in this year, paper written by PQR, from that paper you have taken this variable. So like that, if you have reference also included in the model, that gives a detailed picture, the clarity will be there when you are representing the conceptual model. This is how you should represent a conceptual model and present it. Here also project success, you might have taken from some reference, right? Some DEFR, some year 1990, 1990 project success, too early, probably, keep 2005 or, something like that. 2010, project success, more recent, last two decades, the research event, right? So, like this, from which paper you have gathered, you include in the conceptual model. Include in the conceptual model. That way, it will be clear for you. Right. This is about structural models. This is about structural models. Right. So let's move on. Actually, structural model is one of the type of conceptual models. Right. Now I will take you through the process models. I will take you through process models. See, how are the process models? Example process model I will explain you. See, what is a process model? Basically, process model, right? process model, I will tell you. See, process models, right? What are the process models? Process models represent a series of actions, set of actions, huh? A series of actions, a set of actions which you have taken in an organizational task or activity. Process model indicates series of actions. Series of actions. For example, for example, conflict resolution process model. Conflict resolution process comes under organizational behavior, right? Comes under organizational behavior. Conflict resolution. Conflict conflict resolution process model. Similarly, what is another example? Decision making process model. Decision making model. Decision making model. This can be one model, right? Process model. A series of actions will be there. Series of actions will be there, right? So next one, third one is what? SDLC, Software Development Life Cycle Model. It is a process model, right? Software Development Life Cycle Model is a process model, right? So, see, basically, structural models are used in management research. We discussed, right? Similarly, process models are used widely in scientific research. They are more widely used in scientific research, whereas in management research, for example, in the IT systems implementation, process models are used very high. For example, other process examples. What are other processes inside a business organization? Invoice processing, billing processing, checkout process, similarly procurement process. So different processes are there, right? So invoice processing, billing processing, payments processing, the different organizational business processes. They can be represented using process models. They can be represented using process models, right? So these are the example process models, right? See, for example, conceptual model development. This is a process model. This is a process model, right? How do you represent a process model? For example, no, you have identified a first. There is a problem in organizational context. Identify the problem in the organizational context. Identify problem in organizational context or environment, right? This is the first step you do. Next, what? Identify the reasons. Identify the reasons. Identify reasons. Identify reasons. Next, what do you do? After identification of the reasons, you find out the alternatives, right? Find alternative solutions. Alternative solutions. Find alternative solutions. Next, after finding alternatives, what do? You assess the impact, right? Each alternative, what would be the impact? You assess the impact of each alternative. Assess impact of each alternative. Assess impact of each alternative. Each alternative. Right. Next, what do you do after assessing the impact of each alternative? Hmm? You choose the best alternative, right? You take a decision. Choose the best alternative. Choose best alternative, right? Choose best alternate. Decision we are representing using a diamond. Next, what do you do after that? Apply the conflict resolution technique. Resolution technique, whichever is the best alternative you are thinking, apply the technique. Apply conflict resolution technique. Resolution technique. Whatever you thought of a best one. Next, what do you do? Review and take feedback. Review the implementation and then take feedback. Review and feedback. What is this? This is a process model. This is a process model. This is a process model. For example, manufacturing process model, delivery model, manufacturing process model, they also come under process models, right? See, process models are widely used in scientific research and in management. We use structural models specific to management research. In hypothesis proving, wherever hypothesis proving is required, we use structural models. Right. So these are the process models, to indicate the set of actions, a series of actions, right? So this is how a process model appears. This is how a process model appears, right? So we can use a structural or process model in management research, but if you want to prove hypothesis, you better to use this structural model, right? So, for example, software development process model. How does it appear? So the requirements, and this is the process model, right? Requirements analysis. Next comes design. Next comes implementation or coding. Next comes testing. Next, the deployment. Deployment. Next is maintenance, right? Operations. Transition to operations. Operation. Next comes maintenance. This is how a software development life cycle appears, right? This is what nothing but what this is a process model. This is a process model. Right? Similarly, decision making model. This is this part is nothing but the decision making model, right? Similar steps we are using in a conceptual conflict resolution model also. Similar steps we are using decision making model. Some steps are part of conflict resolution model also. Right. So this is how process models will appear. Right. So mathematical models, no, I don't want to touch upon. Right. So okay, that's all from me for now. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.